feeling up to it?
You're signing your life away, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
after this, it's pretty much all downhill.
Good.
So you're telling me you're not going back to the NFL after this?
Yeah, no.
Arun, you alive back there?
Yes, sir.
All right. You will hear him from time to time pop in and chime in. He does that. It's freaky. We got used to it, but if he scares you, feel free to scream. It is kind of overwhelming when a large guy is like, hey.
Let's go.
All right, let's jump into it. Welcome back to the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world. Sitting next to me, as always, my very cozy and appropriately dressed partner in time with the Travis Scott's on, the one and only Saeed Omar.
Oh, thank you, man. Sitting next to me is my partner in crime with the Beater Air Max 97s.
Yeah, I thought I was going to the gym today, and then I realized that I'm fat now.
So got it.
I still haven't put it together yet.
Chris Nahibi. Welcome back to the show, everybody.
And behind the ones and twos, as always, DJ Arun, who showed up appropriately 3 minutes late.
It's just
It just gets worse and worse every time, right?
No, that's your calling card now. It's like Batman.
And today, what do we got today, Chris?
Today is on you, brother. Go ahead and introduce the world-class guest that we have.
The world-class guest, the Super Bowl champion, and there's so much more to him, Mr. Jordan Franks himself. Thank you for coming on the show, man.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Man. Appreciate the introduction. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Long time listener, too. He's supported us for quite some time.
This would probably be a good time to let everybody out there in listener land know that Saeed sounds like he's had some throat problems.
Oh, here we go.
It's not the world's fault. You sound like, you've been doing some things.
I've been doing some things. Yeah, I've been coaching. That's what it is.
Sure, that's what
I've been coaching. The son, my boy had a basketball game this weekend. Let's just say they underperformed, and I was getting on him a little bit.
So you're the abusive parent?
No, the abusive coach.
Jordan, how do you feel about abusive coaches?
Yeah, I'm not much of a yelling coach myself, man. But
No,
there's a time and place for it, I guess.
So truth be told, I don't yell ever. So by me just screaming out a play, hey guys, get in the 2-3 zone, 1 or 2 times of that, I'll lose my voice. God honest truth.
Have you listened to your own show? You scream at me all the time.
I think you're forgetting who screams.
I don't scream. I get animated, sure, but I don't scream.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, you found the podcast, if I do recall correctly, just because you were simply interested in financial literacy, right? Is that how you came across us?
Yeah, so financial literacy, and I was listening to Mind Pump. And
there it is.
Yeah, Adam. There we go. Yep. My wife's a DPT, doctor of physical therapy. I was telling Saeed, and
okay.
Came across the show, and she loves the show. Then found y'all show, and then been listening. I think a year and a half now, 2 years almost.
I was just at their holiday party on Saturday night, and it was great because Saeed and Arun were not invited. Yeah.
I think that was strategiig on their part.
Yeah, we went out there and did the whole holiday party. It was a great holiday party, man.
There was a weight limit to the party. I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. There were a lot of good-looking people at that party. I was like, I couldn't walk in because my wife, is beautiful, and I'm not allowed to look at anybody else. So I was like, honey, I don't know how do I attend this?
Right.
So we decided that I was just going to look down the whole night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I didn't say hello to you at the party, it's not because I don't like you. It's just because I can't look at you.
So Jordan, I know just given from what I've been able to see on your page and the few conversations that you and I have had, financial literacy seems like something that is really important to you. Has this always been the case? I know that you've always been a numbers guy. I think I saw on your page not too long ago that you keep track of the gasoline prices at your local community. And you've been doing that for I don't know how long. So I think you've been a numbers guy for quite some time. So you want to dive into any of that?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I've always been an analytical guy, very black and white, very not emotionless, I guess you say. Wife gets a little mad at me sometimes for that, but this is how I was, always how I've always been. Yeah, to the gas prices, actually, it was my father-in-law's truck who's been keeping the index Northern Kentucky gas index is what I call it, for about 30 some years. And I bought the truck from him and bought the book off of him and kind of keep it going. So it's pretty cool to see inflation
that's
as it
really cool, man.
progresses year to year. And
so have you always been this black and white, really?
Yeah,
You've always been like this even since you were a
This-
kid, right?
yeah, it's how I grew up though.
Wow.
I had a unique upbringing, so it kind of played into that, I would say.
Right.
Sure.
Your father was a sergeant, right?
Yeah, so my dad was a master sergeant in the military for
Ah.
30 years, and also grew up in a national forest in a trailer in the middle of the woods, so a little isolated. So military raised, me and my brother, my mom, in a small little farm.
Wow,
So,
man, that's incredible, man. So, I mean, let's kind of just dive right into it. I mean, I think a lot of people are curious about, you're a former NFL player, or are you still in the NFL? I don't know if you've officially retired or not. But I mean, how does somebody in the NFL even begin to manage their finances? I mean, you go from playing college ball to all of a sudden getting a big payday, right? And I know those paydays aren't year round, right? It's only during the season. So, how much help or how much help did the league provide you in helping you feel prepared for all that?
right. So, yeah, step number one is 90 to 95% of professional athletes have no clue about financial literacy at all, zero. So, going into the NFL, rewind a little bit, I went to UCF, which is a university in Central Florida, got my undergrad in business. Always wanted to understand how money worked, how businesses work when I grew up. And I didn't, the closest thing I knew to learn about it was go to a business school. Um, Never heard of the stock market till like my freshman or sophomore year in college. When I tell you I grew up in the woods, I grew up in the woods. Like it was hunting, fishing, or sports. That's all you did. So went to business school, graduated, had a opportunity to play in the NFL. Took that chance. They gave me an inch, took it a mile, turned into a 5-year career. Retired this year. And to answer your question
Congratulations,
about
man.
the financial literacy, oh, thank you too. I just didn't want to be a statistic, if that makes sense. I'm an older brother. I wanted to be set an example of what to do with your money, if you got money, and how to keep it, how to grow it. So the first 2 years of the NFL, I just saved and studied my ass off. Just read a bunch of books. Started my master's at Indiana University, which is a top business school. Whatever that means to you. Found a couple of financial mentors, which is the biggest cheat in the game. Which my biggest hint to anybody: find a good mentor. A good mentor is somebody that'll provide you education without anything in return. So it's kind of my
A big
financial
disconnect for a
overview.
lot of people.
Yeah, so like basically don't pay for a course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody
No.
you gotta buy a mentorship from is really a true mentor. That's just somebody selling you a service.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which I'm big into in the sports world, which is a lot of athletes get taken advantage of, just like the
Oh,
general
yeah.
public too. So that's pretty much the
Absolutely, man.
overview of my financial. We get into more details though, if you want. How we get
Yeah.
paid. And
Yeah, man. Let us know. I mean, how does that even begin to work as far as how do you guys get paid and how do you manage all that?
Well, before we get into that, can I ask? So you were talking about finding a mentor. Who was your
Yep.
mentor?
Yeah, that's funny. My man, Mr. John. I got dinner with him next Sunday, and my
Okay.
man, Mr. Dan. So yeah, so I'll start with this. I started playing at Cincy. I earned a lot of my money, and I just saved it. Now I went to the Cleveland Browns, and I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to invest my money and do this correct way. So at first, I actually started investing with my wife's financial advisor, who works for Morgan Stanley. So I was like, okay, this seems like the right thing to do. That's what everybody does. Invest in my money. Okay. And then me being me, I like to know, why am I investing in this? What is my money doing in this account? I'm not just going to turn my head. So I went down the whole financial literacy route, read a Series 7's book, read an SIE book. What else? Read the insurance books. I got, what do you call it? Certified in insurance. So I just know about that game. Then answering your question about the mentor, I broke my leg and I was in a physical therapy office, and I randomly heard this guy talking to a physical therapist about expense ratios. I had no clue what this meant, but index funds. And he's using return on equity, return on investment, and return on equity, ROI. And these are terms I heard from my business class. I didn't know what they meant, but I knew he knew what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to him. I was like, "Hey, Mister, can we go get a dinner somewhere, whatever?" He said, he actually invited me to Chick-fil-A. He's not big into spending a lot of money, which he's your typical,
Okay.
if you ever read the book Millionaire Next Door, he's your typical millionaire next door.
Okay.
So he took me under his wing, and this guy never made over 100,000 in his career. He's a 65-year-old man in northern Kentucky that has a $5 million investment portfolio, 3 paid-off houses, all from compound interest and index funds.
Wow.
That's the dream, man.
I mean, but yeah,
There we go.
the sad part is like that's so rare.
I know.
That's not most of America.
And this is the same advice that, our guy Warren Buffett and rest in peace Charlie Munger, they preach. And to your point of, kudos to you for understanding that you needed to read in order to learn. That's something Charlie Munger would always say is, I don't know any other way to learn other than by reading.
Right. And I will shout out my other mentor, Mr. Dan, who's the chief financial officer for the Chiefs. He didn't have to, but he took me under his wing, and he's showed me more of the financial background, like DuPont analysis, stress testing, which you're showing me about, and other analysis like that. So those are my mentors.
Did you approach him, or did he recognize that you were interested in finance and then approached you? Like, how did that happen?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I approached him. I always going to approach people now. You know what you're talking about. You're going to get a handshake out of me.
So you're out of luck, Saeed.
Damn it.
So walk me through like what it's like in the league. I think a lot of people glorify the idea of being in professional sports, but a lot of people really don't understand the actual logistics of playing in the league. So especially as it comes to how you get paid and what that looks like, and then what your expenses are. Can you walk us through a little bit of that just to kind of help people like shed light on how different it actually is?
Yeah, let's get to it. So, So first off, the way the pay structure is set up is between the owners and the players. It's called the CBAs. That's the name of the contract. And there's certain brackets that are set pre-draft, when you get into the NFL. So when you see the NFL draft, each draft pick is actually getting paid the same base salary for 3 or 4 years, which is rookie minimum, which rookie minimum now is $750,000. So you shouldn't be complaining about money.
Right.
So $750,000 is rookie minimum. Now, what you see, first round pick or first pick, second pick, those are signing bonuses, which are attached to the base salary. So the only difference between a first round pick and an undrafted player is the signing bonus. They have the same contract.
Got it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So when you get drafted, you come into the team. You really don't get your money until 2 months after you get drafted for everything to settle and you to come terms with the team. And you only get paid. Well, it's changed now actually. So you get paid from week 1 to week 18, then another 18 weeks after the season. It used to just be the football season, but now they expanded it to after the season as well.
Okay.
And you get paid your base salary divided by, 32 weeks, 36 weeks per week. That's your salary.
Got it.
All right. So now let's talk about the expenses. So obviously you got Uncle Sam. He's gonna take half. That's
right off the top.
Right off the top. Then you got, let's say you stay in a no income tax state, so that'll be nice. No state income tax. Usually you got city and county tax. Let's see, to make sure I get all the taxes out, typical ones. That's pretty much it. But then there's also another tax that a lot of people don't know. I forget what it's called. It's like the entertainment tax or basically a tax. Yep.
If you're in the entertainment space, sports space, you get another tax on top of you for that.
Holy cow, I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Sadly.
Yeah, man.
Yep. So another tax. So that's out. Then this is where I start having my issues. You got your agent fees, which is about, on average, 3%, which is the most an agent can do, and we can talk about that too. 3% of gross income. Then You got your union dues, which is, I believe, 18 grand right now. And that's just, this is everything that just comes before you even see the check.
Yeah, it's crazy. And they
And I
get that
believe
3% gross before all that gets taxed. I want to make sure that I get my 3%.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
right. And remember this too, this is where I had the issue, is that the contracts are already out. Like, it's already 3 to 4 years solidified. You're not changing it. So my point is, like, I don't understand the point of an agent. The contract's already negotiated for 4 years. But
Yeah, like, what did you do?
it's kind of
You
like
signed your name to my check.
Yeah.
right. It's like a financial advisor. But yeah, the whole percentage-based fee thing with a contract you didn't negotiate is kind of funny. But yeah, so they take 3%. Then yeah, that's pretty much it. That's your typical cost before you even get your check. Then you got to do all this living, which living's always interesting because you can't just get a 12-year lease. You got to get month-to-month lease, or if you buy a house, you're going to have to sell your house, move to another place. That whole realtor fee, it's a bunch of fees, a lot of living cost fees.
Right. And these all sound like some
industry.
fees that if you're not educated about them, I mean, I'm sure you probably have seen some players out there spend their check before they actually get it. And now they're raking up all these fees. And next thing you know, they probably spent their first year's salary already like that.
Quick, yeah. They don't really have time to think about it. They're more focused on how can I produce more cash flow. When they're cash, their investment is their body. So they're more focused on that than actual learning the literacy of the expenses and how it's going to burn up your money quick, to your point.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you getting any of your like teammates wondering, like, bro, why aren't you in the gym? Why are you in the CFO's office?
Yeah, exactly. I would.
Right.
Was there a lot of peer pressure there, from other people? Like, we're spending money. How come you're not out here with us spending money?
Yeah. So if I say one thing now, man, don't get it twisted. I was in that gym. Yeah, I was in that gym.
Yeah, that was a fat guy. So the fat guy calling you fat, I mean, like,
that's wild. That's
Yeah,
wild.
no. You just assumed you were going to be rotund. You know?
Hey, that's funny. But nah, so so my typical day, honestly, I was grinding. Ain't no doubt about it. I mean, I had an opportunity to really educate myself and make good money in a short time span. The average NFL career is 2 years.
Wow.
So I made a 5-year career out of it. So I would have been a fool to not take the opportunity, even though it sucked. I was doing football and reading every day for 3-4 years. But
right.
So to answer your question, I would wake up at 4:30, a little stretch routine, warm-up routine, go to the facilities about 5:30. Same thing, hot tub, prime, mind pump, CNS connection, then workout, do whatever, meetings, blah, 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 blah. So that would take about 8 hours out of my day from 4 to 12. Then for 2 hours of lunch break, I would go eat my lunch and read, hour and a half. Then from about 2 to 4, 2 to 5, it'll be football again, film sessions, rehab, practice, whatever. Then from 6 to 9, 6 to 10, I'll go to a local library or a local coffee shop, and that's where I'll study some more, Series 7, whatever CFO the book gave me, meet with Mr. Dan. And I just did that for doing my MBA classes for 3 years. As you see, that's why I got this long beard, man.
Yeah.
Not a lot of time.
Me too. He's rocking a Lolo though.
Yeah, this is at home. This is when you do it yourself.
That's when you know you're not working hard enough. You know what I mean?
This guy's crazy.
Yeah. The guy outside is clean shaven. I'm just saying it's a trend.
You want me to walk in there?
Right, man. But that, I mean, to anybody out there that says that I feel like I don't have any extra time to learn. I mean, I look at somebody like you, right, where you understood clearly early on that like you said, the average career span for an NFL player is 2 years, and you got to maximize this time. But yet, so you need to make sure you're performing for the team because they don't care about what you're doing on the side. They need you to still show up and do what you're paid to do, right? And so in order for you got to still maximize there, and then on your free time, go home and learn about all this and try to maximize that. I mean, That's a great, valuable lesson right there in and of itself.
Yeah, you're right. That's the main thing. Was that was a tricky part. How can I? Because you're 1% of the 1% when you're in the NFL, and especially now with globalization, like every day, every year they're bringing in. Well, to be specific, every Tuesday, every team is bringing in people in your position to try them out. Whether
Every
from
Tuesday.
California, every Tuesday.
Wow.
Whether it's from California or from Europe or from Asia, they're bringing them in, flying them in.
That's the
You
practice
know.
squad, right? Or are they just like
Yep.
completely undrafted everything?
No, so they're just random people, just random athletes that they fly in to see if they're better than you. And then
Wow. God.
Okay, so now's a good time, actually, Said. I'm flying in somebody to see if they're better than you for the show.
So you're
Right.
keeping me.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I know you're consistently late. You're fine. But him,
I'm gonna show up on time. I'm gonna take his job.
can't be coming in to work with a raspy
Right.
voice. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah, I know. Seriously, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes. Then that dude will be walking right in front of you in a glass window. You just watching him. He knows your position. It's kind of funny.
Wow. Yeah. So is that how you were looking? Is that how you were looking at Kelsey last year when you were walking by him? I'm gonna take your job, boy.
Yeah, no, that wasn't no. No deal. No, he's pretty solidified over there.
Yeah, he is now.
He's doing.
Yeah.
He's doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
So
No.
walk me through. So you
They
get
love
interested
him.
in this, right? You're in the league. You're clearly into a longevity in your career, in your life, and you're thinking past the league. How do you go back and help other athletes with this? Like, how do you take your skill set, which is so rare in the league, and help people grow?
Yeah, man. This is the part where I'm running into an issue right now. Is that's one of my ultimate goals. Is I want to help basically mentor athletes with financial literacy,
Mm.
and it's tricky because to be that 1%, especially when you're a professional athlete, you have to be hard headed to a sense. Like you have to be so focused and not listen to any outside noise that you're perfected your craft. And that rubs off to every other avenues in your life, whether it's finances, health, relationship advice, whatever. So then that's the biggest wall that I've seen, I guess you say. And then two, it's, you're a football player for 5 years. What do you know about finances? And that's kind of like what I run into right now.
Where's your credibility at?
Yeah.
Got it.
Dude, and that's not unique to
Right.
football. Let me tell you, I get this all the time where I'll talk to somebody about money and they'll be like, bro, you don't have a Ferrari. Why are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the smart thing to do. What are you
And
talking
you're
about?
like, what? Like,
Right.
since when did that shit mean that someone was rich?
Right.
Let me go rent one. I'll be right back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid.
Right.
But the optics play so much into it, and people don't want to look at things and go, okay, you know what? Maybe this person put in the time that I didn't. Maybe they have experiences that I didn't. Maybe they can help me. People don't want to hear that.
Right.
They just want this visual now. And I blame social media a lot for it. But and especially a lot of those guys in the league now, they come up, they're young, right? They've been in the league for a couple of years. In some cases, they're still in their early, mid-20s. You know, they're hard-headed, like you saad. They don't know what they don't know. I know
Right.
it sounds bad, but
So I would imagine, given how how hard-headed and how focused some of these guys are, right? And you're
Right.
really there just to help. Do you have like an example that you like to hit them with early, just to show them like, I know what I'm talking about, or this is something you need to be focused on? Is there anything you approach them with first?
Man, it's hard. It's what I try to show them is just examples of players from before. This guy had this much money and now he's broke. The average, you give him stats, the average professional athlete's bankrupt after 5 years. What else? What are you doing right now with your money? Just little questions, but
Right.
it's hard. It's just the same. It's the same picture over and over. It's hard because I don't like to say, the NFL should do more or, these people should do more. At the end of the day, it's the athlete's choice. He's making good money.
yeah,
He
but
has a
the
choice to
NFL
educate
knows what they're
himself.
doing, though. See, I blame the NFL. I blame the league on that, too. And I think it's an ecosystem because this is going to sound a little conspiracy-ridden, but bear with me. I think a lot of the professional sports organizations and a lot of the teams that are there, if you're an owner of a team and you truly give a shit about your employees, your players, like you should be invested in their financial health. But there is this dark conspiracy thought in my head that says, okay, if these guys are out there going broke, spending their money, living a wild life, they're eager to stay in shape and stay at the top of their game because they need that money coming in because they fuck up. You know, they got a lifestyle to support. And I feel like there's a little bit of that parasitic culture there where they're like, it's not my job to stop him. It's good for me, whatever. Because a lot of these guys could bring in somebody for money purposes right out the gate. They could say, hey, you're year one, you're a rookie, you're taking financial literacy classes. But they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, so actually, funny thing is they do. We do have financial literacy classes.
Oh.
And now, but to your point, I'll say this to tell you all you need to know is the financial literacy class this year, the first subject we were talking about was cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Fuck.
Come on, guys.
Well, dude, I mean, like,
so
can you
I'm just
blame
like,
them? Can you actually blame them? They're all a bunch of 21, 22, 23-year-olds. They're all on social media. They're kids,
well,
man.
this is the people that are talking are advisors. So these people are 40, 50. But and this is where I try the conspiracy things. I think they're trying to relate to the young athletes by talking, you know what I'm saying, financial literacy that they see on Instagram or Facebook instead of talking about, let's talk about a balance sheet or an income statement.
That's
what's
wild.
What's the interest rate mean?
Can you imagine this guy's going and say, listen, I know you guys want to talk about buying houses, but let's talk about this Bored Ape Yacht Club over here real quick. Let's talk about this NFT.
Yeah.
Man.
And
that's funny because that was one of the things they talked about right there. I forgot about that Bored Ape. They brought that up.
You're kidding me. That was sarcasm. Oh my God.
I mean, hopefully what they were talking about was this is not something you should be investing your money in.
What advice were they giving?
Web3.
Oh yeah, Web3 is the future, brother. Web3 is the future. That was the thing, man. Like I know it sounds sarcastic, but
I know
people were preaching like Web3 was a big deal. Let me tell you all about it, and that's more relating to I guess an age group. You know what's funny? I was listening to CNBC today. I do this every morning. I'll get to work. I'll drive into work. You know, I'm trying to get my mind ready for work day, so I'll listen to CNBC in my maybe 10-minute drive. It's not that long of a drive. And they were talking about crypto because cryptocurrency had a rally today. Bitcoin's above 40,000 again.
42, yep.
Yeah, and people were like, well, you know, Ethereum's the only one with utility built in, and it's got a network behind it. I'm like, Jesus, fuck, here we go again.
Yeah.
Like, when will this stop?
Right.
And then I just imagine every guy who was on his mom's couch because he lost everything in crypto was like, yeah, it's going to the moon, man.
Yeah, it still has another 20,000 to go in order to get to its high.
Right.
Yeah. I love it though, but so. Here's a buddy of mine. He used to play in the NFL too a long time ago, and we were talking about kind of why he got into business. He owns hotels now, and I was like, hey man, like, you know, why did you ultimately get into business when you left the league? Like, why didn't you do something different? He's like, number one, I didn't have a choice. I left the league. I didn't have a lot of money ready to go. I had to continue to make money.
Yeah, man.
He's like, I could have ran it out, but at that point in time, you know, what am I doing? I'm just waiting to die. He's like, I'm 30 years old when I got out of the league.
Right.
Now he's, you know, almost 60. And he said to me, look, I saw Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson's making moves. And he's like, look, most of his money that he's really made, if you look at the straight dollar for dollar, how much he's made more after his career than he did during his career by being a savvy businessman.
Bro, didn't they want to offer him like a $25 million deal for 25 years at one point?
Yeah.
Like that was the deal.
That was the deal. And look, I mean, not a bad deal, but I mean.
For back then, but still. Yeah.
So you look at guys like him who, I mean, he didn't have that Jordan Brand type deal, but he made a ton of money afterward in business because he had that vision. But to your point, Jordan, man, the problem is I think so many people are raised to not think about the business as like their future. They think about the now. I'm making this now.
Yeah.
What am I going to do right now?
Yeah, and to piggyback off that a little bit and something that I'd like for you to like chime into, Jordan, is I feel like for it, just thinking about the average NFL player, right? So much of their identity has been being a football player, right? I mean, from I don't even know how young they started. So if all you've ever been taught to think about is football, and this is the way to get out, and this is the way to make it, to all of a sudden get in the league and be handed over this check, to now have to have the foresight like you in order to think about your future also, that could be really overwhelming, right? So how do you overcome, you know, like that battle with your own identity? I mean, I know you've always been a numbers guy,
right,
but to also think about, look, I have a whole nother however many years after my NFL playing career to think about. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that one part, man. When you finally make the lead, and we made it. That's what people say. We made it.
Right.
What do you mean we made it? That's that's what I'm saying. That's problem number one. People identify you as the breadwinner from the get go.
Oh.
You're a 19, 20-year-old kid, breadwinner. You got 50-year-old men, 60-year-old women telling you, you're the breadwinner for the family. You got to bring money into the family now as a 20-year-old. So that's part of that identity. Then again, back to the 2 years, you got all that crunched into a 2-year time span. And once it ends, the identity doesn't go anywhere. People still see you as that, as the leader, as the breadwinner, as the choice maker. And when you basically run out of the money, options, opportunity to be the leader of the family. That's when you start seeing, in my opinion, the identity crisis. Feel like you're not worth anything or worth something to society because it comes quick. It's a quick turnaround for sure.
Wow.
Every time I hear these stories, I think about Delonte West.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Guy was in the league, made tons of money. He was a great player.
Right.
Played with champions.
Yeah.
And he had a real problem. And as soon as you left the league, man, like nobody tried to help.
I'll go even bigger than that. I know you're in the NFL, but I've read so much about basketball. Allen Iverson, right? Like he was on the verge of. Think about how much money he made with all the endorsement deals.
China saved him.
Well, he almost went completely broke, but he had a financial advisor that saw the way this was going, took the lead, set aside $30 million for him, and then now is growing that and living off that now.
How'd he set aside $30 million?
I don't know what the deal was and how he had that access in order to trust him with what, but he did, and that's what now he's able to like grow off of and continue to live off of. But look, that could have been another tragic case.
Just saved $30 million. Shit.
$30 mil. I mean, it is what it is.
Good cushion right there.
I guess I'll survive off 30. Shit.
Right.
So, Jordan, I got to ask some questions. I want to know. So you spent all this time in business school. You spent all this time. You got your master's. You've become very thoughtful about these things. Obviously, with insurance and some of the I think the Series 7 you said. If you were to make investments today and you were to go out, like, what do you like and why? Like, what's your investment like thought process?
So my whole process or investment plan has always been, I'm not the smartest guy in the building. I never deem myself. I might be, I might not. I don't know. But to say that I'm less risky, if that makes sense. I'm very long-term thinking. When any investment I make is the whole Warren Buffett analogy. Don't do an investment for 10 minutes if you can't do it for 10 years. So the investments I really plug at is index funds. Why? Because they're easy. It lets me allow time to do other things. I just put money in, move on with my life. That's long term. 10, 15 years. I don't expect any positive return. Now, obviously, I understand the 10% on average every year. But for short term investments, I do just money market account backed by federal bills. Maybe, what do you call it? Mine went blank. High interest not checking account. High yield savings account. There we go. If it competes with the money market,
and it's a weird time because that's
pretty much right. So other than that, pretty much it. I bought this house or this condo, I should say, back in 2018, 2019, but that was due to the quantitative easing period, low fixed costs for a living cost that was always going to be around. So I always don't need a rent or a mortgage. There's an opportunity to keep that fixed low for 30 years. Then my whole theory is when it comes to real estate is stay in a real estate property 5 to 6 years, let CPI take over until that profit margin is comfortable enough to start renting it out. And that's pretty much kind of how I attack my investments.
Man, I wish more people thought about their properties when they bought that way. Buying in 2018, 2019 was probably perfect. I mean, that was a great time for rates, and it was a decent time for values before the 2019, 2020 pandemic really drove prices up about 40% in some areas. So that was.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know at the time when you were buying that it was that crucial, or did it just happenstance of all these things came together for the perfect timing for you?
Yeah, man, I thought I was a genius at first. I said my property went up 40% in the last 2 years, but no, I just had some good guidance from my mentor. Tell me about. That's when I first started learning about the monetary policy and
Mm-hmm.
quantitative easing and tightening, and this is a good time to basically get free money compared to historical data. The only
Man,
time,
I like
really,
your
so.
mentor already.
Yeah,
I
seriously.
like this guy.
Oh yeah, he's looking out for you, man, Mr. John. Yeah,
Yeah. Shout out to
Good
Mr.
dude, good
John, man.
Yeah, seriously. The world needs more people like Mr. John
They really do.
and Mr. Dan.
Yeah.
You need to get them on the show.
Yeah, get them on the show too. We'll
Yeah.
do a collaboration.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah, that's
see, here's the
pretty good.
thing is that, like, when I grew up, I didn't have, Mr. Dan, Mr. John. I didn't have these people around. I grew up by
Mhm.
watching people make mistakes, and
Mhm.
I saw a lot of people around me who were wealthy lose it all, particularly during, like, the early 90s recessions.
Wow.
And then in 2001, when the dot-com bubble burst, I saw a lot of people around me, like, who had a lot of money lose a lot of money. And that was kind of how I learned. I saw all the things that these people were putting their money into, and they lost. And the commonality was always the same. They bought expensive shit. They always liked to seem like they were wealthy. And they lived a lifestyle that I was like, wow, like, yo, they must be making money.
Right.
Yet when I was a teller, I'll never forget, there was a guy who came in every single day in a Hawaiian shirt and like board shorts. And I was like, this guy, come on, man.
Yeah.
He had all like rainbow sandals. I mean, he was all about that life.
Yeah, he
right?
sounds like Odun.
And he was mildly overweight. And
Cough a lot.
no, he didn't cough a lot. That's
Coughed a lot.
But he was a nice guy. He was always happy. He'd come in random ass times of the day. And the first time I ever looked at his account, I saw 7 figures in this dude's account. And I'm like, God damn, I wonder why he's happy. He doesn't give a fuck what way he looks.
Yeah.
So finally, I built up the courage to ask him. I'm like, hey, man, like, what do you do?
Mhm.
And he said, I worked a long time. I saved a lot of money. I drive the same car I did back then. I didn't buy nice watches, all these things. And he's like, some years I was making $500,000-$600,000. And he's like, this is like in the late 80s, early 90s for him. He's like, that's like $1 million now. And he's like, I lived off of like $80,000 a year. I put all that money into investments in the markets.
Right.
And then I started buying real estate. And he's like, now I do this. I come into the bank and get some money out and go have a good time.
This guy.
And he was dead serious. But the reality is that like that guy didn't look rich. He wasn't wearing Gucci, Chanel, or Prada. He wasn't driving like a high-end car. But he never worried.
Yeah.
He was good. He knew the rest of his life he was good because he made the sacrifice.
That's something that we've always said on the show, right? The real rich people aren't the flashy ones. You don't need you don't need to flash it around in order to, to be rich, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
No, that's the number one indicator. I remember the first in the league when I knew you always just tell who's gonna go broke within the first year of leaving the league. My first example was this guy who we used to call him Jack because there was this casino on my first team called Jack Casino, and man came in to the weight room after a good gambling session, and he just had $20,000 of cash in his pocket while lifting weights for no reason, just $20,000 in his pocket. Like, what we
Sounds
doing?
like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, little introduction to the league. And it's just, I don't know, it's a bunch of random stuff that's kind of funny. What's another one? Oh, I seen a bulletproof car. Bulletproof car with first seats. Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, if you need a bulletproof car, you got other shit going on in your life.
I'm telling you, yeah.
You know?
Why is that a major selling point for the Cybertruck?
That should not. No, the Cybertruck's don't blaspheme, bro. The Cybertruck's cool. How dare you?
Yeah.
I was telling Syed earlier today, man. Let me see if you guys know this, Arun and Jordan. So I didn't know. So I couldn't figure out why like everybody was like so hyped over the Cybertruck because it looks cool, but it's big,
It's
real big.
Yeah, it's massive.
And I just bought the Rivian. I like the Rivian a lot more. It seems more luxurious. But yet, all the people in the automotive space that I knew, like real automotive people who were like, they're about this life.
Right.
They're like, this thing's amazing. And I'm like, so I finally sat down and started doing some research. There's some interesting technology behind this thing, man. Like Elon Musk through his team, because they had to go through this adversity in creating it, they changed the way the game is going to be done for cars moving forward. So instead of having a wiring harness that wires the entire car through copper wire, they use a different type of wire. I think it's just fiber optic cable, but whatever it is. So it reduces 77% of the copper wire in the vehicle. So the same wire that attaches to your windows going up or down will attach to your heater, will attach to your door locks. And it's just one cable that runs all the way through and it just taps out.
Just making
basically.
it that much more efficient.
That much more efficient. 77% less copper in the vehicle. They redefined a lot of the way they did things in the production process to be more streamlined. And the whole idea of not painting the vehicle is something that Tesla's probably going to do moving forward. So right now, the Cybertruck, it comes in this bare metal with like a gloss coat on top of it, right? But it's a really durable gloss coat, almost like a powder coat, right? And if you want it in any color, you get two options, white or black, and they're both wraps that come from the factory.
Not paint, wrap.
Not paint, wrap. Can you imagine how much money is saved if you remove paint and you remove 77% of the copper in those wiring harnesses and all the other efficiencies down the chain? He's going to be able to make these cars way more efficiently and economically viable.
Right.
Now, it is twice the price that he originally said it was going to be, but I'm not holding a grudge.
What an asshole.
Wait, so Jordan, what was your first big purchase?
Wow, he just didn't give a fuck about what I
Yeah,
had to say.
He was waiting for you to stop. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, at least I had the respect. Come on, man. I waited. Wait, what do you want me to say? Shit, that's crazy, Chris.
Yeah, that'd be a good start. Yeah.
First big purchase. Mine was a car. I should say, jacked up 4x4 truck.
Okay.
Where they had a limited edition, I guess. Not limited edition. It was a Z92. What was it? Sierra 1500.
Okay. Yeah.
4x4.
Good truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Then, but then I went down the financial literacy route, and now I drive a 01 Dodge Ram 5-speed V8.
That's my guy.
I love it. I loved it.
Hey, man, until the Rivian, I was driving a
it's
2015 Jeep, and I fucking loved that thing. It was my baby. I beat it to shit, too, but I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, man, what you drive?
The problem is
what? I'm driving a 2018 Jeep.
don't let the 2018 Jeep fool you, though. He lives in a palazzo. It's a big-ass house.
That's a lie. Don't listen to him.
Fucking huge. Arun over here just got a full concrete backyard. Costs more than my house and my cars combined.
Hey, when you come out to Cali,
Nice.
man, we'll have you and the wife and the kid over, and I'll show you how small my palazzo is.
Just make sure to follow the windy trail up to the guard tower, and they'll let you in.
Guy.
Ooh-wee.
Crazy.
Very nice, man.
Crazy. So, I mean, can you tell, was there anything, what was the first investment move that you made that made you feel like, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm doing, I read everything that I was supposed to read, and I'm gonna pull the trigger. I'm gonna make my first investment. Do you remember what that was?
Oh yeah. So this one might be a little long, but
Take your time.
so yeah, I was
We
with
got all the
Morgan.
time.
All right. So I was with Morgan Stanley for a year, and then I met Mr. John, and he was coaching me up for about 4 or 5 months. And he was going over his basic philosophy was 95% of financial advisors can't beat the market.
That's true.
For the
Facts.
ones that can,
Factual.
for the ones that can beat the market, once they beat the market, say they get 13%, the average market's 10%. But if they charge you 3%, you still got the market return. So now they have to do the same thing year after year after year. What's the probability of them winning against the market? So invest in the market. And number 3, he said, was if they are the financial advisor that can beat the market, they're not dealing with you. They're dealing with multimillionaires, maybe even a billionaire. I don't know.
Mhm.
So he said your best chance is to invest in the general market. Now that you know what the general market is, you know it's 10% per year. How can you get the most out of that 10%? Well, having a financial advisor that charges you 3% is not getting the most out of 10%.
There you go.
It's obvious. So that's when you go down the index fund route, mitigate your expense ratio, management fee, administrative fee, cost, and just let it ride for a long time. And once I figured all that knowledge, to answer your question, my first big purchase investment-wise was just transferring assets from Morgan Stanley, transfer them, don't sell them, to Fidelity, and then selling them there, so they don't get the commission off the sell, and then buying, I don't know, how many shares of S&P 500, VU, and VTI.
There you go. Pro tip.
So you transferred via DWAC from one advisory firm to another firm. So for those of you who don't follow, what happens is you arrange a transfer of assets via this DWAC process, and the sender institution, so Morgan Stanley in this case, will create the transfer into your institution that's receiving, in this case Fidelity. You'll have to go to Fidelity and actually tell them the DWAC information, which is usually an account number and a transaction number, and they'll pull in those securities and assets. And now what you've done is you've moved your stock that you hold in this one account to another account without selling anything, so you don't have any capital gains hits, and now you have a different custodian who manages your account.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I know that we've preached on the show before, is when you're looking to get into these ETFs or these index funds, that you can shop around. You would be surprised at how low some of these expense ratios are. They won't charge you a whole lot, right? If you get into, let's say, VOO.
Ironically, VOO is still one of my favorites. Actually, I should probably figure out how much I have in VOO at some point in time and talk about it on the show. But that is the largest investment that I hold in my 401k, and it is one of my largest single holdings in my active investment account. And by active investment, I mean that I buy, on my own discretionary decision making for a long term, not like I'm moving around assets all the time.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. But I also like IVOO. There's a lot of Vanguard index funds, emerging markets. There's mid cap, small cap, and large cap index fund, and then there's obviously VOO, which is the index 500.
Right.
So yeah, big fans.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, you pivot into this. Mr. John's got you set up right, and then you wind up now where you decide, okay, I'm going to retire from the league, and you're out of the league.
Mm-hmm.
What's the game plan for 5 years? What does your life look like in 5 years from an investment perspective? What's the goal?
Right. Yeah. So the goal for me is financial freedom, and y'all pointed to earlier when we were talking about, I think it was your mentor, or no, it was a guy that walked in with the sandals in the bank. Is that his financial freedom gave him no stress free, and that's all I look for. And now it's not going to make you happy, this and that. Makes life easier. Don't get me wrong, but it gives you an opportunity to give life meaning, if that makes sense. So. Financial freedom 5 years from now, then, you can calculate it however you want, rule of 7. If you don't touch the investment, the 4% rule, if you do, calculate it that way. But from a financial standpoint, have all my expenses covered, which they pretty much almost are. Very low cost guy. That's my number one rule, is to bring cash flow in and mitigate costs from a personal financial lifestyle. So then from a education investment 5-year plan, pretty much the same thing. Dollar cost average in the index funds. I want to get more into real estate. I want to start renting this property out and move on to my next venture. That's really about it. I'm keep it simple kind of guy. Let the rule of 7 take over.
Yeah, I love that, man. I mean, given your recent time in the league and where social media has now emerged to, are conversations like this in the locker room happening? Are people are they even talking about it, or is this something still not spoken about in the locker room between teammates?
Yeah, they definitely talk about it. It's a wide range, man. You have your people like me who love finance, love numbers, and then you give them a bunch of money and they just go more down the rabbit hole. But then you have people who don't, which is 95% of America, who don't want to do anything with the money. Don't want to look at it. They just want somebody who thinks has their best interest and let them take over. Then they just want normal conversations in a locker room, which is fine. It's like any other job. Do you want to talk about finances after you've done your job for 8-10 hours, or do you want to talk about what's going on in your life and your family?
Absolutely, yeah.
But see, this is the thing about this country and other countries, and for that matter, that really makes me question things. It's taboo to talk about wealth. it's taboo to talk about money because you're perceived to be greedy or focused on the wrong things. But why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I can go into a locker room easily any day of the week and be like, yo, I want to fuck the shit out of this girl, bro. And then everybody be like, oh, hey, perk up, ears all up.
Right.
But the sad part is like, there's nothing wrong about talking about making money.
Right.
We glorify it in music, right?
Mhm.
We glorify it in lifestyle and social media. But then the second you talk about it in a social setting, you're materialistic.
Right.
That's weird to me.
Right. I think more so than anything, I think a lot of people aren't as well read and maybe are a little bit more insecure. So they're afraid of, for lack of a better term, getting undressed in a conversation. It's showcasing how little they know. So they'd rather just steer clear of the conversation.
I try to undress you in every conversation.
I already knew where you were going.
Can't put that out there and like,
come on, baby.
You're not going to throw that up there and expect me not to get it.
You didn't think I floated it on purpose?
Yeah, I know what you floated.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. But no, you're right on that, man. Especially when like the 1% people, they have to be hard headed, and you telling them I'm smarter than you and I've been alive the same time frame as you. Who are you to tell me that you're smarter than me?
Right.
So,
but it's not smart though. That's the thing I think people get real caught up in.
Yeah.
Just because I'm interested in finance doesn't mean that I'm smarter.
Right.
I'll give you a great example, and I'll do the reverse. Right. A lot of doctors and lawyers are smart people. Right. Yeah. You can go to medical school, be incredibly intelligent, incredibly disciplined, dedicated. A lot of attorneys, you can go to law school, be disciplined, intelligent, dedicated, all those things. Right.
Right.
Athletes, same thing. That doesn't mean you know everything about the world. You still don't know shit about business and money.
Yeah, this goes hand in hand with every aspect of life. I just thought of it right now as you're pointing it out. If I take a financial literacy class in college and I'm reading something factual, something like, Jordan said earlier, right? Don't try to beat the market, just, invest long-term funds, right? And then I go home to my 20-some-year-old friends and I tell them, hey guys, we should all do this. You know what their reaction is going to be? Fuck out of here, man. You just took one fucking class. You're going to tell me what to do. But it's like, hey, that's factual. Or if I all of a sudden get into eating paleo, whole natural foods, we know that's the right way to go to cut weight. And I get into paleo. I start talking about it. Man, this guy's been on paleo for 1 week. He going to tell me. Right?
Yeah, but here's where that shit changes, though. You start losing that weight. You start looking better. You start showing the signs of it. Here's the problem with money. If I'm starting to make more money, you're not going to see any outward signs of it, because if I'm truly dedicated to this craft, the whole idea is for me to keep the money in the markets and keep the money invested and not to be out here doing all the things that you think is successful. With a good, healthy diet, you lose weight.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
With so many things in life, people go like, oh, Saeed or Jordan or Arun, maybe. You guys are losing weight, or you guys are getting in shape, or you guys are seeing the benefits. It's easy. It's visual. With money, unless you're out there being flashy, doing the wrong thing, it's not visual.
Right.
It's very counterintuitive. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I got siblings, and you guys know, and Jordan, we've talked about this before. I've got, 4 siblings. Mm-hmm. And the 3 younger ones, to this day, they don't know. They're out here like going like, okay, wait a minute. you act like you're hot shit and everything.
Yeah.
But, you live in a 3-story attached townhome.
Right.
You're not rolling out in Lambos and Ferraris.
That's crazy.
You're not really making that money, bro. And I'm like, but I am.
But yeah, exactly.
I am.
I know. Right.
And then all of a sudden, this is sad. I'm going to do it myself. So you can take your shot.
Okay.
Then the black card comes along. They're like, wait a minute. That don't make sense.
Because you were flaunting the black card. So they're like, oh, that's.
Yeah, I was doing like this. Look at me. I'm rich.
Look at me.
Did they remember when you were younger and you got the white Beamer, or no? You
hear a funny story about that car? So I had a black 7 Series on 22-inch rims. Stupid. I was fucking young and dumb. Right? It was a 745i, and it 22 wheels, fully equipped, black on black, and I did that, and I'm an idiot. And the transmission went out. They wanted like $7,000 to fix this transmission. And I was like, come on, man. Like, I'm not that guy. Like, I know I look like it, but I'm not that guy, right? So instead, I went to the dealership. I had it towed to a dealership, put it in the parking lot, and then came back a couple hours later, acted like I drove in, right? This is on Halloween. I'll never forget. Halloween. And I roll in there, and my dad's with me. My dad knew how much money was making because he helped me buy a home at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Oh shit, you make this much?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, we're gonna get you a new car, son."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Dad, I just need you to come along with me and maybe like just co-sign me driving this car, which I did not drive in the parking lot."
Right.
Right. So we get there. My dad falls in love with the 740 Li. It was long wheelbase.
Mhm.
It was 2012. It was a brand new body, big, long, expensive.
Yeah.
And my dad he's like, "I got this. I'll handle everything." And he goes in there and starts negotiating. I'm just like trying to act like I drove the car to the dealership and get like a suitable like replacement.
Yeah.
Maybe even downgrading. Somehow I leave the fucking dealership with a $1,200 a month payment.
Oh my gosh.
Like
Sheesh.
6 hours later, I had people that come to my house, and then I show up to the house, and everybody's in my house waiting for me because we're going out on Halloween night to like a bar in Laguna Beach. And they're like, "Is this a new car?" I'm like, "Yeah." But I'm fucking pissed because I know how much I just planned to spend.
Right.
It was one of the worst investments. It was one of the worst things I ever bought.
Yeah.
I regretted it to the day I got rid of that fucking car. Every fucking time I made that payment, I was like, "This is the stupidest fucking thing." Now, it was cool. Lots of options, recliner seats in the back, which I never used.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, I mean, it was a cool car. It had lots of features.
Did you,
seat coolers?
Jordan, did you have any financial missteps that you look back on and you wish like, oh man, I wish I didn't do that one?
I mean, yeah, but they're just more. I never had anything outrageous for sure.
Right.
Just maybe a couple thousand at most. I saved a lot of my money. Put it that way. I wasn't going down that road.
Oh, good for you, man. Better man than me.
But nothing. I mean, you could call my car gas. You know, the whole. I did the same thing as Chris. Bought the car, nice car, big rims, big engine. Doing wheelies in my dad's pasture and blew the transmission out.
Oh.
$10,000. Do I want to pay? Do I want to keep paying that or not?
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I know. Here's the crazy thing is like you like all these things and it sounds cool when you buy them right up until you have a problem with it or you have to like maintain it. And you're like, wait, I have to pay how much for tires?
Yeah.
The fuck out of here.
That's what I know. I just bought new tires for the Jeep and I'm just like, why did I do this? Why did I do this?
Bro, just because you got 35-inch tires. Those things go like 50,000 miles, though, man. You're
65, man. Come on.
65,000 miles?
Yeah.
Bro, what crack pipe are you smoking? Put the drugs down. No more alcohol for 2 minutes. No. You're getting the 65,000 miles out of those tires.
Yeah, I swear.
Why
you
you lie to
know
our
who I
guests?
always think about, Saeed? Brandon Jennings. He was pretty financially literate as well going into the league. Remember, he was supposed to go to college and he's like, never mind, I'm just gonna go play overseas for 1 year and collect a check. And then when he came into the league, he's a basketball player. He got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks. And instead of buying like a big time house and like one of those fancy cars, he rented an apartment and he got an electric car. And they're like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Bro, the NBA career is like 2 years, 3 years, something like that." He's like, "I don't know what's gonna happen to me. I just need to save my money and be smart."
I love hearing stories like that. Yeah.
And unfortunately, he did get injured, I think like 6-7 years into his career. And yeah.
Jordan, I should point out, there are very few things in this show that Arun feels like he can relate to.
He's so excited.
And this is the first time we've ever even gotten close, remotely close to sports. Yeah. He is so excited back there. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
I think that's the longest I've ever spoken.
That is by far the longest you've ever spoken.
Yeah.
He's so happy.
Although you gotta take his input with a grain of salt. He's a Chargers fan.
What?
Chargers.
You want to talk?
Even Jordan's like, damn.
You want to talk about that?
No, last time I played Chargers, y'all were in a soccer stadium. That was about 3-4 years ago.
We were building out the stadium. In LA. I said we were.
He said we.
The LA Rams. The LA Rams were building out their stadium that we rent.
We again? He can't stop doing it.
Oh man.
How often do you play, bro?
I'm a fan of the Chargers. What do
You can't say we. Don't be that guy where you're so ingratiated.
He's emotionally invested, man. Let him be, man.
Unfortunately, I am, man.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's
I wish
so
I could
terrible.
go back like 30 years and stop myself and be like, not the Chargers, man. Not the Chargers.
You should be rolling with Kansas City right now. That's what you should be doing.
I can't. They're a rival.
Oh.
Let me ask you, Chris. I know you give Saeed and them a hard time about sports.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear your opinion on sports because I read something today about, I think it's 90% or above 90% of Fortune 500 CEOs all played sports in college. So I was wondering why you.
Okay, I got some shit for you right here, boy. You touched me on the right topic at the right time. All right,
Here we go. Look.
So I'm watching this movie, this docu-series on Netflix called Painkiller. It's about how
Yep.
Oxycontin got to the market and how essentially it's really heroin in another form. And one of the things they did in the first 2 episodes, you'll notice that they recruited these farm reps that are athletes, former athletes. And it struck a chord with me because I know from some of my earliest mentors, they always looked for athletes in business because athletes had the discipline, they had the drive, they had the focus, they had all the things focused on their early childhood that they can now be converted over to business. And I grew up in sports. I grew up playing basketball. I still live to this day. I think health is truly imperative. I think a lot of that discipline, follows through. And I think sports equates to business in a way that people don't appreciate because you learn those fundamental skills. You do all the shit you don't want to do because you hope and you want to become a better player, right? And in business, it's the same thing. You hope, you want to become a better business person. You want to see that end goal. In this case, it's quantifiable. It's in money. It's in metrics. It's in results. So I think that there is a great symbiotic world. Now, that being said, I recognized probably 10 years ago, the day I decided to stop playing basketball, it was one day. I clearly remember when I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Like I used to play like every single day. I trained. That was my entire focus. I said, you know what? I'm putting so much time and energy into watching sports and keeping up with sports and keeping focused on something that was my life then. My life now, my sport now, has got way more longevity built into it. My wife and I were having this conversation because she'd never seen me play, right? And I was like, look, as sad as this is that you didn't get to see that part of my life, that part of my life was so short compared to how long my business life can be. Charlie Munger just died at 99 and was still working, right? So I look at someone like you and you get it. You get the longevity of your life. You get how long this game really is. The game that you've always been playing, whether you've been doing it vis-a-vis sports or not, is about personal growth and building your family. And that's where I think sports for me really died and the bigger picture kind of like clicked. It came on. And I didn't always have that. I was in my mid-late 20s when the light bulb went on. I was like, oh, shit, wait a minute.
Right.
Maybe all of this was for the rest of my life.
Right. But I know specifically for Jordan, he also gives back by coaching some young gentlemen over at a high school. And this could be a very valuable way for you to connect with them and also maybe instill and implant some, financial literacy. Like, hey, I know you guys are working on this, but I want you guys to also maybe read this book or read this article, right? Maybe touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that I'm actually going to probably ask after the podcast a little letter from both of y'all. So pertaining to that is, so I volunteer at this high school right down the street called Beechwood, and I really enjoy just hanging out with the kids, teaching about football life. Maybe I'll throw a couple business key points in there, a couple diamonds. But I'm actually supposed to meet with the principal and this Friday about opening up a program for student athletes on exactly what Chris is talking about. How can you use the skills and attributes that you've learned in sports and carry that over to real life? Because only 1%, half a percent actually go play college, but usually the sports people in the school are the leaders in the community after post graduation.
Yeah.
So what does that program look like? So it's kind of funny y'all are talking about that because I got to build that program for the principal Friday and present it to him.
That's incredible, man.
Let me tell you. So I started going into schools a couple of years back, and I've stopped because the workload's gotten so busy with everything that we're doing now. But I used to walk into these programs, and I would always start off the same way. I recognize the way that I'm dressed. I'm dressed like an asshole, and they're like, "Okay, wait a minute, expletive. This guy's on my level. Like he's not. He's going to come at me shocking, and it's that shock factor." And number 2 was, if you listen to me, I'm going to teach you how to get rich. And I know it sounds like sensationalism, it's hyperbole, it's all those things. But that registers with kids. The whole reason I got on social media in the first place, and we ultimately wound up here with this podcast, as weird as this shit sounds, was because I wanted to relate to kids on a level that they could understand. And then I also wanted to have a good time with my friends talking about things that we really cared about. But walk in there with that. I mean, just be bold like that. Look, if you listen to me, I know it sounds crazy. I've seen good, I've seen bad. If you listen to me, you will get rich.
Right.
Name one other class you're going to take in your time here today, in your time here through the years that you're in school, that's going to be your introductory statement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's something
like
I
that.
try to tell my son and my daughter all the time is like when they go to jujitsu, right? And they're in those professors there and even the teachers at school, they're invested in these kids, right? And if anyone, someone like yourself is going to take the time out of their day to tell you, or build you a roadmap on success, right? And they're not going to take any extra dollars out of you, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something to be said there, right? They're not asking you to come out and pay for my subscription or my courses or whatnot. Like I'm giving you the roadmap and I would hope that they would listen.
Yeah.
Jordan, I have a question for you, actually. I've been meaning to ask this for you for a while. So I want to say like 3 months ago-ish, I follow your channel. I follow your Instagram pretty actively. And you pivoted from having your financial content on Instagram to LinkedIn. And then you kept a lot of your coaching and football commentary on Instagram. Why'd you split it up?
Yeah. So one was what we talked about earlier was basically being a salesman for the financial services. I came out hot, man. I was like, I got so much knowledge. Now I was going to run the world, I guess you say. So retired, start putting the knowledge out for my athletes. And what we were talking about earlier, nobody was clicking with it. So I said, all right, let me take a few steps back and kind of see where I'm at. So doing that, I turned my Instagram just towards football stuff, which was my main following anyways. Then I turned most of my educational base to LinkedIn. In my head, it was because I have more people that want to be affiliated with those subjects will be my connections on LinkedIn. I've had more engagement that way. But I also write for my local newspaper financial column too. So I'll get some engagement through that.
Wow, that's incredible.
But yeah, so the main reason to pivot was I wasn't getting too much engagement. I was, from an analytical standpoint, I was going from, I think, 1,000 likes on one of my football pictures to like, I think 6 likes on one of my financial posts.
Yeah.
Which is understandable, different target audience, but it's kind of interesting in the algorithm.
But I really liked how simple you kept it.
Yeah, I do too.
It's like a notepad and just straight to the facts, and you swipe and you get the answer, and it was money every time.
I'm gonna
appreciate it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Okay, bear with me. All right. The Instagram algorithm has changed, and there were a lot of people who had a lot less likes and a lot less views in their stories and a lot of that, and this is all kind of foreign to me because social media is still something I'm trying to really understand better, and I'm not doing a good job of it. I probably should spend more time. But I know the algorithm changed dramatically. And at one point, I had as high as 80,000 followers. I paid somebody to get me fake followers. It was a whole thing. And I paid somebody part-time, almost full-time for a while to remove them and get them off my account. And I certainly pivoted at one point from what I was doing to really a financial focus, and now really dedicated a lot to the podcast. My thought process was on that, like, look, I know it's going to be a conversion. I know it's going to be a period of time. People are like, okay, look, you know what? I came here for car content. I came here for dick jokes. Why are we talking about money? Right. And I lost a lot of people in that process. But now, several years later, I've seen more engagement now and more people actively kind of reaching out to us via DMs and everything else. And it's overwhelming at this point.
Yeah.
My only statement to you is stay true to what you love, because you'll keep doing what you love. And if that's football too, then great, so be it. That's all good. But do what you love, do it in the way that you love, and let your people find you. And if that means that you alienate some of your people that already followed you, that's okay too. Not everybody has to like what you put out. You do.
Right. All right.
Yeah, my man's uplifting today. Look at you.
I know you give me a couple of cocktails.
Words
All of a
of
sudden, I'm
advice,
positive. I didn't make a
There you
fat
go.
joke. Arun, how much you weigh?
This guy.
I'm
Why?
kidding.
Leave him alone,
No,
man.
he lost a lot of weight. He looks great.
He does.
He's been dressing up more for the show. Although Arun, now that the four of us are talking amongst ourselves, and nobody else is listening.
Circle of trust.
Yeah, circle of trust. You looked a little stressed when you walked in today. What's going on?
Oh man, we're going to Chicago on Wednesday. Just a lot. The kids got doctor appointments today. Had another ingrown toenail. So yeah, man, the whole ingrown toenails is freaking. Bro, I went in. The doctor's like, "You again?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, he looks at me. He goes, "Bro, it's a 5% chance of you growing your ingrown toenail again. It's happened twice to you."
Jordan's like, man, do you know what kind of injuries I had to play through? You telling me about your ingrown toenail?
Well, I'm not complaining about the
Listen,
pain.
you
I'm
get-
just saying there's an ingrown toenail and it has to get taken care
Oh,
of.
bro, it
I'm
looks
just like,
painful. I don't know how you do it.
Between his gout and his ingrown toenails, he can barely walk some days. And
This
I
poor guy.
wish that was a joke, but it's serious. I don't understand, man.
I love him.
That's funny, man. That is funny.
Yeah.
Well, Jordan, I appreciate your time, man. I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's late where you're at, but thank you for coming on the show, man. I've been waiting to connect with you for so long. I'm so glad you took the time out to do it. And it's unfortunate you came through Saeed because I feel neglected.
Nah, man, it's okay. The love is real.
No, it's not.
But hey, man, I too wanted to thank you, man. Thank you for taking the time. And next time you're out here in California, make sure you stop by. Hit us up.
Yeah, definitely do that. Appreciate y'all having me on. Enjoy.
All right,
it.
we'll do dinner. Houston's ribeye on me. And
On the black card for sure.
All right.
see, fuck. I did it to myself. I'm not even getting mad at you this time. All right, so that's fine.
Yeah. All right, Odun, you got anything else?
Nope. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Jordan, you want to plug anything before we get out?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right.
All right. All right, then, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Bye.